I do believe in that. And you got to practice what you preach. And there were times I actually had an intestinal issue years ago, and because of the what do you call it, the test that they had to run, it caused me to get those exams that you need to do on an annual. So colonoscopies and prostate exam, I would do that. But the things that you probably put so way on the back burner, that got put to the front. Everything was cleared, thankfully, and all that. But again, those things that can be early diagnosed and prevented, or treated is very important. And I've had a number of friends, whether it was prostate cancer or for treatments that they've had to do. Thankfully, they were all caught at the right time. They were treated. Some had surgeries, but they're all doing better now, doing well. But again, just thinking of that and knowing, I think also with that early or with that annual checkup that you need, it's important because at least it gives you more time to even, whether it's a second opinion, whether it's something else you need to check out. But when you get past that point, like you said, and it's where, now we just have to go in and just aggressively treat what's happening because there was no prior checkout. And again, it's, to use, I won't be sexist and just say men die low because women work on cars too. But in the sense of a car, and not checking that oil, or not changing that oil, if there are some people who have cars and it actually burns oil to a certain level, that oil runs out. Or if someone was to go to a mechanic and they change the oil, meaning they empty the old oil out but never put new oil in, the engine seizes up. And so in the same sense of checkups, you just got to check it up. It's important to know our bodies, like what you had recently said, what you said about the blood type. Just the same way your blood type and know what you should eat based off of that, I think is the same thing about being aware of our bodies. When I found out about even what was going on with me, the doctor said, well, it's good that that you are alert to check what's going on. A lot of times we just kind of do our business and keep moving, but he's like, you need to be aware of what's going on with your body. So when you go to the doctor, at least they can rule out what you thought, they can rule out what your anxiety might have said, or they can say, you know what, we're glad you came in, because it had you waited 3 more months or 3 more days, and you don't want that. So I do believe that whatever it takes, for us to be mindful of that, and perhaps sometimes we just got to encourage each other. It don't have to be a support group, but just even sometimes encourage, say, hey, you told me you had this problem. How was your checkup? Did you go get your checkup? Do you need somebody to go with you? Sometimes it does take some of that to do, because they're growing up. I know in my era, in my parents' era, you just toughed it out. You got to scrape. You just get up and do what else you got to do. Put some tar on it. I mean, they had some of the, they had some remedies that just like, how in the world? But I do believe that those things are, we're in another age where we do need to be more mindful and more proactive on our health. And I'm glad for persons like yourself and other podcasts who are doing that, who are putting it more front, the issue of men's health, even for whoever started it for this month. But just to be able to say, hey, this is not a one-time thing, but something that should be on a regular, to check up your health, how you're doing, and to be mindful of that, and create your own, customize it, create your own pattern for health, and it can make a difference. So
Absolutely. Yes. Because this is not just for the month of June. The reason why we're
right,
talking about it is we want to bring the attention to men, because a lot of men, like you said, they don't go to the doctors, they don't take their health seriously, and they wait too long. So
Yeah.
something that could have been diagnosed in the beginning, and it was just a little something, they caught it, but they wait a couple of months, 6 months, it turns into, for instance, a cancer that went from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3, and by the time they get in there, it's stage 4, and the doctors are looking at them saying, "Why didn't you come in earlier? This
Yeah.
is preventable. Please, I just want to express, men, do not wait. When you have an issue, something doesn't feel right, something is not exactly right going on in your body, go to your doctor and and get an exam. They'll do lab tests. They'll conduct tests that will show you. Most of the time, it may be something minor, nothing. But if you keep prolonging the issue, then that's when things turn south. So, just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that this is something that men will continue to do going forward. And Pastor Jimmy, that was very good when you said, I know most wives and girlfriends don't mind going with their husbands, but maybe you don't want to go with your wife or your girlfriend. If you have a guy friend, a male friend that you trust and you are close with, go with them. Ask them to
Yeah.
go with you to the doctor. That would really be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So as we wrap up today's podcast, what advice can you give men, a little more advice, or to just encourage them to take better care of their health? What advice can
Sure.
you
Sure.
give?
I think one of the things I would say is that, it's how God has created us and created our bodies. And I think one of the things, and it would take a doctor, I'm sure, to probably verbalize it even more soundly. But almost back to the car situation, is that our bodies have indicators. Our cars will say change the wiper fluid, change engine oil, maintenance. It has different setups in there. Once you get that maintenance light, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see the transmission light, and it's in there. That's what's so funny. We don't know all the lights that are set up in our cars or the indicators.
Yes.
So normally we get you ran out of fluid, and we're okay with that. You get a low tire pressure, you check with that. But when you see that engine show up, that's when it's like, oh no, because it's gonna
Right.
cost more and all that sort of thing. But I believe the same thing in our bodies. Don't pay attention to the signals that your body's giving you. That was what I would say. I would say pay attention, because there are things that our bodies will say that no one can see. No one even knows. We can walk around and be like, I'm okay, I'm doing fine. And I remember, I go back to my issue. Short end of the story is that I was losing blood, and I didn't realize how much blood I was losing. My doctor said, I'll see you on Monday. But
Mhm.
we'll kind of monitor this. Well, what he didn't know was I was losing some more blood than I thought. My count went down to 7. Um, I could
Wow.
barely go from one side of the room to the other because my heart was pounding, trying to find blood, basically. And
Mhm.
but when I went to one of the doctors before they sent me to the hospital, they just looked at me and they said, okay, well, we'll see you on Monday or whatever. I said, I don't think I'm feeling that great.
Right.
And then finally, it wasn't until I went back, I had to go back. A friend took me back to the emergency room. And when they saw the blood count, that's when they rushed me to the hospital and had to do 2 bags of transfusion and all that sort of thing. And and again, like I said, you have to know and then advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
you feel that, and sometimes you can't bring your buddy with you because your buddy's not going to advocate. Your buddy's going to advocate for you, not necessarily for the condition. The wife, or like you said, the
Yeah.
wife or the girlfriend will say that point. So you need someone to make sure they speak up, and say the things that you may not even want to say,
Yes.
because it can be a serious issue. It could be a matter and be here today. It was when I went to the doctor, it was 13, my count, And when I went back to the ER, it was 7 and going down,
Wow. Well, thank
until
God
everything
you.
healed up, and that's like God healed me up that same time. And they found out that, doctor said that, you're cured of whatever it is, you're cured, and things were healed up. But again, you get signals. You get, it might be a headache. It might be, and you might say, "Oh, it's a headache because I usually drink coffee, so I need some caffeine." But you need to really read those things and make sure you have someone that you can share it with. And I think that might be the biggest thing. Um, the male species has a way of just being to themselves and being to ourselves, and and so we don't really talk about things. We don't tell anybody, but we're going through all these emotions, all these feelings. But there comes a time where you gotta say it, you gotta tell it, as much as you don't want to. If the outcome may not be as bad as you think, particularly as Gail said, when you deal with it early enough. So don't
Exactly.
just assume, oh, if I say this is my my death notice. Whatever it might be. Sometimes we go there and then we don't tell anybody. But other times it can go back to, we're talking about fitness. It just might be
Mhm.
anxiety. You just might be stressed a little bit, and so
Right. Right.
you have all the factors. There are people who have had what they thought it was a heart attack, and it was a stress attack.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
the little things should be checked on. Know the signals. Recognize. Don't ignore the signals that you get.
Well,
It
thank you.
might seem petty, uh, but it's not, as it can be. It can be life changing when you are willing to notice signals and have the right advocates with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. That was wonderfully said and expressed. So, yeah. And
Thank you.
also, I would add, if a doctor is telling you something and you don't agree with it, or you feel that they are misdiagnosing you, it's
Hmm.
perfectly fine to get a second opinion. It's perfectly fine to say, well, they're just brushing me off. I know there's something wrong, and so many of my
Yeah.
friends have said that, and they'll not settle. They won't settle, and they'll go somewhere else, and they'll
Yep.
get to the bottom of it. You can even
Yeah.
do some preliminary research on your own that can tell you some of the things that are not right, and you'll
Right.
go say, okay, this is not right. I'm going to go, and they need to help me because take I'm not going to just let them brush me off and say that I'm fine when I know something is not right.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm so happy that you're still with us, and that you were able to get help, and you'll be here with us, God willing, for quite a long time. We
Amen.
want you to celebrate many more birthdays, many
Yes,
more
indeed.
happy birthdays. Yes. So we're gonna sign off right here, and if you have any closing remarks, but what you said was fantastic, and I just want to again tell everyone, if there's some more health information that you need, you can find out more by visiting my website, which is partnersinhealth.biz, partnersinhealth.biz, where you can find all type of health and wellness information. You can find out about our Walk of Healing ministry, and we have a walk coming up in August. And so there are many different, you'll be able to see this interview in case you weren't able to see or listen to the whole thing. You can always go back to the website. And if you'd like to be a guest or sponsor on my Partners in Health and Biz podcast, you can email me partnersinhealthandbiz@gmail.com. That's partnersinhealthandbiz@gmail.com. So again, thank you so much, Pastor Reverend Jimmy Terry, for being my special guest. You have a fantastic birthday, and enjoy this time and with your friends and family. And maybe I'll see you this weekend at the upcoming community health event. Who knows? All
Thank you so much.
right.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a
Bye.
blessed day,
Bye.
everyone.